Welcome to 13 Minutes of Gig News in 13 minutes or less. All right, guys, just a few things we're going to run through today. Probably going to be on the shorter side. Um, but I want to talk about the last week in Florida and safety. It's something we don't talk about all the time, but I've done pieces on it. I've done uh, podcasts on it, and I want to talk about it because it's now falling over more to the delivery space. And there's a lot of crazy things in Florida alone that have happened in the last week. I want to talk about or mention the Instacart couple that was shot at for being in the wrong area. The Florida Doordash driver who got kidnapped and sexually assaulted, and the Florida man who dismembered an Uber Eats driver this week. Um, I mean, it's labeled as a demonic crime, and clearly is. I guess I think we talked about it maybe a couple times this week, but I really want to see. Now is one of those kind of check-in times. Do you guys have a plan? Do you have a plan of safety? And I know you really, you can't have a full plan because how do you know the scenario you'll be put in? But I would think this is a good time to wake up a bit and maybe make sure you're not texting and walking back from dropping the food off. Make sure your eyes and your chin are up and you're looking around, and make sure that you're just kind of being overall safe, even in areas you feel safe. But especially those where, like, maybe a porch light's out, you walk up, you take a picture of the food, you're walking back to the car. Don't be playing with your phone. Keep your shoulders back, your eyes up, be looking around, and then when you're in the car, then take care of your business like that. But things are happening. People like the dismembered Uber Eats driver, he was yanked into the house. So it's not just rideshare anymore, and it seems to be a lot of things are kind of just crazy these days. Let's be honest. So DoorDash this week, this just goes so above and beyond to me. It's crazy. DoorDash, a DoorDash dasher in a car accident, car's totaled. He decides, or he gets rushed to the ER, and his wife gets called at work. So she covers her shift. She goes to the ER to be with him, finds out the car is totaled, this, that, the other, that he's doing okay, but obviously he's in the ER. And he says, "Oh no, I never canceled my DoorDash order that I was on." And so he tried to cancel it, couldn't figure it out, and so she jumped on his phone and hit cancel and called the customer, and the customer understood, like, okay, yeah, well, he's in a car accident, um, so then she sees the chat button. This is the wife of the dasher. She sees the chat button in app and she hits it, and she says to the bot, can't need to cancel order, and it says you need to speak to somebody, and it escalates it. So when it gets to the supervisor or the next level, they said to her that she said, my husband was in an accident. He's in the ER. He will not be able to finish this dash. Can you please cancel the order? Or he won't be able to finish this dash. And they responded, "Sorry to hear about that. Will you be able to complete this dash?" And it took them 2 days then to write a apology or give a response to Newsweek, who ran this article. And I find that just appalling. Like that's and what you can see for what they wrote is pretty, like, ridiculous. It's not. It should have, that could have been spit out in minutes afterwards, but they waited 2 days. My thing is, like, why weren't you there in 20 minutes giving a statement? And there was a good point made too on Thursday's roundtable about, where, I mean, aside from all this, but where is this order gone during that time? I mean, I know that the order was probably in the car is totaled, but I mean, like, where's the new order for the customer? Or is that just dealt with? That was a good point raised on the Thursday roundtable. Okay, I want to talk about this DoorDash Earn By Time again from the roundtable this week. I was surprised to learn from our guest that, who I think we all know has quite a bit of DoorDash experience, obviously. But I was surprised to learn uh, how close the earnings were, he said, in the earn by time model, which was like $13 to $15 an hour for DoorDash. I find it really interesting that knowing this person like I do and how many dashes he's done, I find it extremely interesting because his opinion actually matters huge, and he is somebody who can justify what he stand behind what he says. So if he's saying you can earn as much on earn by time, even in his market where he hustles, um, I don't know. It kind of brings up a question I had earlier this week about would they rather all of us simply be part time and there be no full timers? And I guess next week maybe we can get into that, not on 13 minutes, but maybe I'll get into that on the audio podcast, which I hope you guys are listening to. The audio podcast is hot and rolling. But yeah, maybe we can talk about that a little bit. Um, we also talked about what's going on in Maricopa County because of the Waymo and the Uber um, driver who was in the autonomous vehicle that killed a passenger, and why was Uber Waymo allowed to just pay their money and pay some fines up and stuff, pay their whatever they give the government of Maricopa County, which is like Phoenix and Tempe and stuff, Arizona, and why were they able to move the case, or the lady was, maybe she even picked to move it. I've heard that said as well, but regardless, it's just such a mess. And now this poor lady, I mean, hopefully she just gets off because I cannot imagine a jury convicting her. But the lady who's being paid $22 an hour or whatever to sit there and monitor the ride, no engineering experience and no experience really with autonomous. I mean, let's be honest, other than the engineers, really nobody has experience with autonomous. And the problem is that if you're not an engineer, autonomous doesn't work. So how good of a job can you train somebody at $22 an hour to sit in there? Um, we talked about it last night on Driver Nation, and I believe that it was a bit of just scapegoating, to be honest. You know, it's just yeah, it's just too strange. But back to the earn by hour. If that's the case, please, you guys, leave notes. If you're doing earn by hour and you're making as much as you do when you cherry pick, leave it in the notes. And also, I don't know if I got to the question about for earn by hour. Do you have to have, because one thing that was brought up on the panel was that I said, well, yeah, I know that you can only decline one, and on the second decline for earn by hour, you get kicked off for the hour. But so I was surprised to hear actually, though, that helps your acceptance rate. I understand that during that time, you're accepting almost everything, let's say. That's 100% during the earn by time. I'm surprised they're applying that to your other one to let it help raise it up. So that's a perk too for the people who are lower. If there really is something to be said for people over 50% or people over 70%, that they truly are getting the better orders. We have so many people who still cherry pick that I believe in and stuff too. So like Mr. Flex and all those guys, they still cherry pick. He'll never be a top dasher, and he still pulls it off. So I don't know. I'm very curious to know if there's some real asset behind keeping it over 50 or over 70, because I know that it's been mentioned to me, and I've seen it, that pretty much you know keeping it over 70 is helpful to get better orders, is what I've been told from more people than not. But also that Top Dasher just earns you the power to be able to dash now anytime. And a lot of people used to say, I can dash now anytime in my market. But as of late, I feel like a lot of people have been telling me that's not the case. And so it is important. So again, leave your notes in the notes, or leave your questions, comments, concerns in the notes, please. Okay, so the last thing I got, Lyft is laying off 26% of its employees. So is Lyft literally are they just slowly burning out the employees so that they don't have to all go at once? Do they see the end coming, or is there a real path to profitability? Um, I keep seeing these statements from this new CEO who says that drivers are his main concern, keeping customer costs. It sounds like, the playbook sounds great. hey, let's pay drivers more. Hey, let's not charge the customers more. Let's make sure the experience is better for everybody. Let's focus on that. Sounds great. Sounds like what you should have been doing since day one, which makes me question, what have you been doing since day one? Who are you, new CEO? I mean, really, I know who you are and I know your background, but I don't see what made you a great fit to be the CEO of a rideshare logistical company that serves as a middleman platform only. Um, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Maybe you're gonna be the savior of Lyft. I wonder if it's almost like, somebody has to go down with the ship. And was the salary correct for you to be that guy? That's the question I would put out there. And because I'm tending to think that Lyft is beyond Hail Mary mode, and they're kind of like into scramble mode. Like let's get rid of the dead weight. Let's just start chopping jobs. Let's see if we can just keep it afloat. Because you know, Instacart dropped from 10 million or billion to like an 8 billion valuation, but then it was just listed back up to 10. They wanted to pull that back up quickly, but we know Lyft's down around like 4. So, I mean, that's a real stretch from where they came out at 70 just 2, 3 years ago. So, anyways, guys, that's 13 minutes of news in under 13 minutes. And I'll see you back here next week. Peace.